Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to today's prime time webinar. My name is Afia Tariq, and I will be your moderator today. Today's program is called Stories of Gaza, and we are thrilled to have each and every one of you joining us today. Today, we are going to be joining Dr. Bilal Paracha and Dr. Omar Barney as they detail their accounts of their medical missions in Gaza. But before we start that, just a quick update of our programs. This is a primetime program, which is a free monthly program addressing current topics and trends for kids. We have talked about entrepreneurship, boredom, time management, and now politics. And we occasionally have primetime for parents as well. MCNA also offers youth courses during the spring and fall. Our last program was about social media. We also offer spring and fall YMJ book club for ages 11 through 13. Please contact your local chapters for the detailed information. And this year, we will be offering an exciting leadership retreat for YMJ kids, focused on the theme of taking care of 5 before 5. The retreat aims to inspire personal growth, reflection, and empowerment as we explore the importance of youth, health, wealth, free time, and life itself. So please contact your local chapters for information on how to enroll. As for publications, MCNA has a children's magazine called Companion, which is a magazine for kids written by kids all across the United States. If your kids are creative or good at writing, please send their work to companion@icna.org so it can be published in the next fall issue. Finally, we would love to hear your feedback for whatever programs we have, whatever MCNA or YMJ members have to say. You can send your feedback emails to mcna@icna.org. And please find us at a subchapter near you. All right, Jazakallah khair. Let's start today's program with a tilawa of Quran, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All right, so to get us started, inshallah, we are going to be introducing Dr. Omar Barney. Dr. Omar Barney's resume is very long and impressive, mashallah. He is currently working as an orthopedic specialist at the Orthopedic Specialists of Dallas. He graduated from his postgraduate from Louisiana State University. And he has been voted the best doctor in Dallas all the way from 2015 to 2017. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Omar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for inviting me. Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. We start off with the dua, Rabbi shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri, Again, I would like to thank the organizers of this program and all the attendees for giving us this opportunity, inshallah, to present briefly what we were able to do in Gaza. So, as Sister Afia just mentioned, we were fortunate enough, myself and Dr. Bilal Paracha, to be in Gaza a few weeks ago. And so today, inshallah, what we'll try to do is, in the short period of time that we have, inshallah, kind of go through some of the picture content. As they say, pictures are worth 1,000 words, and obviously videos even more so than that. So inshallah, what we'll try to do is we'll try to go over some of this content with you, inshallah, and then hopefully we'll have some time at the end to take some questions as well. So I'll attempt to share my screen here. I have a brief PowerPoint presentation. I'll try to run through it as quickly as possible. And then inshallah, we'll kind of, so I don't know if you guys can see my PowerPoint right now, but let's just go ahead and do this. Can you guys see the? Can you guys see my? Nope. Unfortunately, it won't allow me to share entire screen. Okay. So can you see my screen now? Can somebody confirm that they can see my screen? Because I can't. Sister Afia, can you see my screen now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, we'll briefly run through just what we saw. Inshallah, give you an idea of what we experienced. So, people, we'll do this in about hopefully 15 minutes or so. So, first off, the question always arises as to how exactly you get into Gaza. So, for the sake of our students, just to give you a brief idea geographically, obviously Gaza is just north of the Egyptian Sinai Peninsula. The border crossing that allows you to get into Gaza, or did traditionally get allowed to get you into Gaza up until recently, was the Rafah border. The Rafah border is on the south side of Gaza, so it's at the southernmost part of Gaza. So basically, what we did is, alhamdulillah, we landed in Egypt. We were in Cairo for a few days. One of the prerequisites is to go visit the World Health Organization and actually get some of the clearances that are required. One of the situations that you have to go through is a debrief or a training program with the World Health Organization. So all of the doctors, including myself, that were able to go in, basically went in under the auspices of the United Nations or the World Health Organization. So this is a picture of us just in the entryway of the World Health Organization. We'll probably skip over this picture. This is our team. We were a team of 13 individuals. If it looks like nighttime, it was nighttime. You actually have to leave Cairo at about 3 or 4 in the morning. It is about a 14-hour ride into Gaza. It's these buses that you see in the background, these mini buses as they call them over there. This is your mode of transportation into Gaza. And our buses were filled with these suitcases. So again, this is a picture of one of my colleagues sitting in the midst of our suitcases. We were able to take 83 suitcases with us. Alhamdulillah, a lot of these were packed with all of the supplies that were needed for our medical mission, to include, medical equipment, but a lot of it also was just basic stuff that the people of Gaza need. As many of you know, there's been a blockade there for actually much longer than 7 months, but certainly since the start of this war, there's been basically a blockade of supplies going in that's been there for a long time. Typically, there were about 500 trucks that would enter Gaza as part of the aid process. This is prior to the war. 500 trucks would get in. Just recently, about 100 trucks were getting in on a daily basis, and this has been going on now for 7 or 8 months. So you can imagine that the people of Gaza really don't have even basic necessities. So many of these suitcases were filled with, very basic stuff like diapers for children. And then, of course, just shoes and, what we take. Again, I think the theme of, inshallah, what I'll try to impress on you guys is the fact that what we actually take for granted here in the United States and in the Western world, there is none of that. You cannot expect, or you cannot just assume that that will be available. So many of these suitcases were filled with basic shoes and slippers and stuff that you wouldn't imagine that would not be available, but was not available. Of course, we were going to be there for Eid because we went there in the last 10 days of Ramadan. So we actually filled many of our suitcases with candy and toys for children because we wanted to not only provide them medical care, but provide them a smile on their face. This is just a quick video that shows you the aid convoys. This is an Al Arish just outside the Gaza border, Rafah border, and you can see just miles and miles of trucks parked on the side of the road waiting, because as I said, they were allowing about 100 in at a time. and the need is actually 400 or 500. So many of the humanitarian agencies, relief agencies that you see actually even collecting funds and money and things over here now in the United States, unfortunately, this is a lot of where your aid is sitting. This is the beautiful entryway to Gaza. This is unfortunately so sad to see this picture. It just hurts my heart, actually, because just a few days ago, if those of you who follow on social media, you saw that the tanks of Israel, the Israeli Defense Forces, the tanks were actually destroying this beautiful sign. But as you can see, this was the entry terminal. This is the Rafah border. So this is the Palestinian side. And it says, I love Gaza, and these beautiful signs, and you can see beautiful palm trees. And it's actually just the air is very welcoming. If those of you who've been to coastal cities, you know that when you get to a beach town, it's it's a very refreshing feeling. So that's kind of how it was even in Gaza when we entered. Unfortunately, that's changed, and that's been littered with this kind of stuff. These are the after effects, the artifacts of war, as we call them. You can see this is actually a burnt out upside down car. So sad to see, but unfortunately, this is the kind of ironically the decoration you see all over Gaza. This kind of burnt out, chars of vehicles that are everywhere, and this is of course part of the war. You see a lot of rubble, and what's so sad about this rubble is that God forbid, there may even be human remains under this rubble. But this is a picture that you see everywhere in Gaza. Wherever you're driving, you see this kind of scenario. You also see this kind of a scenario, tent cities. Everybody is just living in tents in Gaza. You see some structures, but the structures are actually either already damaged or they're dangerous to be in because they can be a target for future bombing. So most people have gone and moved into these massive tent cities. And if you look closely, in the midst of these tent cities, subhanAllah, is their graveyard right there. So a graveyard in the midst of tent cities, and people are living just like that. So imagine yourself, put yourself in their shoes for just a second. This is how their life is right now. This is a gas station in Gaza. You can see these bottles in the front. This is how they fill gas. And of course, there's not a lot of gas, so fuel is in extreme shortage. So the gas stations aren't the typical gas stations you and I are used to here in America. This is what they do, and the gas is extremely expensive, very, very expensive. So cars are not a mode of transportation. In fact, bicycles and donkey carts are the primary source of transportation. This is a water distribution truck. This truck kind of comes into the tent cities that I was just showing you once a day if they're lucky, but sometimes once every 2 or 3 days, this kind of water will come. God only knows what the source of this water is, whether it's drinkable, potable water or not drinkable, but this is the only source of water they get. So you see this little girl in the front of this picture. She's filling up she fills these cans, and that she has to walk, for many, in some cases, many kilometers to get back to her tent. So just picture yourself that this is the water that they have to use for showering, for washing, for cleaning their clothes, everything. This is the one supply. And in fact, this is their drinking water as well. This is a bread line that we often see in many places in Gaza. This is, you'll see children, and we'll talk about children here in a second because of our program today is all centered and focused around children. But this is the bread line. And oftentimes it is the children's responsibility. As you see in this picture, look how many children you see. It's their job to go out there. They're the members of the family. Here we see Baba and Mama go earn money and bring home food and go to the grocery store. Look at this. This is the children. They have to go stand in the line and pick up the food. And sometimes all the food they get is just some bread for the day. So this is a bread line that you see. People are distributing bread. This is the trash. So don't assume that, some of us, my own children often complain, oh, Baba, why do I have to take out the trash? Just because they're having to take the trash out of the kitchen and just to the outside dumpster. This is the state of affairs in Gaza. Trash every single place you see. There's trash because there's no trash collection, big trucks that you see come here. We don't see that over there in Gaza. And so it's becoming just heaps and heaps and piles of nasty trash everywhere because there's no collection agency right now. This picture, this video should touch your hearts, honestly. This is what it looks like, and this is their preparation for Eid. These are little kids of Gaza. They're just like you and I and our kids are. They're kids that would want to enjoy Eid, but this is the best they can get. This is a amusement park, if you will, the mobile amusement park, like those carnivals that you and I see coming to town sometimes, into the exhibition areas, into the fair parks. this is what they have. And what you cannot see in this video or cannot hear is that in the background there's these drones, and I'll show you a picture. This is a picture of a drone. So one thing you have to get used to in Gaza is the noise of a drone. I don't know if I can actually play this video so that maybe you can hear it. Nope, I couldn't. Anyways, so there's drones flying everywhere. I think this video, actually, the sound of it, if you could hear it, you probably can't hear it. Maybe you can. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But this is the sound of a drone. I would compare it to what it sounds like. It have a lawnmower outside your bedroom window at all times. Those of you who have heard a loud lawnmower is obviously very annoying, but in this case, annoying is the least of the problems. It actually is super loud, and it also is very dangerous because, as most of you know, drones unfortunately are the ones that are carrying the weapons of destruction. So God forbid, they could also drop bombs, and they often do. And this is something that the people of Gaza have almost, unfortunately, gotten used to. They joke about it. They say that without this, they can't fall asleep because that's how common the noise of a drone is in Gaza today. Again, just more pictures of rubble. By the way, all of these pictures are pictures that we have personally taken, me or members of my team that we went in with. So these are pictures of the background, just showing that you can see almost always that there's clouds of black smoke in the background, and that is because there's always bombs falling in Gaza. So this picture we took from the hospital, and you can see in the background there's smoke, and that is because they've been bombing back there. Sometimes the bombs get pretty darn close. This was a bomb that just went off as we were driving to the hospital, and of course very loud, but you can see people are just business as usual, because unfortunately, can you imagine that they've gotten used to the bombs wherever they fall. This is a picture of the safe house that we were living in. I put this picture because it's always dark in the evenings in Gaza. It doesn't matter. There is no power, there is no fuel, as I just told you, there is no gas. And so the power, it gets very dark in the evenings. Again, I'm telling you guys all of these things so you can picture yourself in their situation. Again, they're just like us. They're children, they're youth, they're adults. These are the same type, they're people just like us, but realize that in the evenings they have to find a way to get light, otherwise they're sitting in the dark. This was our safe house, just very basic, but this was a huge luxury. In fact, this safe house is no longer a safe house. The people that are there right now have been asked to evacuate because this part of Rafah, which was where the safe house was, is no longer in a safe zone. But when I was there, this is what we lived in. There you can see 4 mattresses, and there's a 5th mattress from which I'm taking this picture. And there's 5 of us in a very small room. But thank God for that, because we had a roof on top of our heads. This is a building right next to our safe house. So even though you say that it's a safe house and what they call a deconflicted zone, which means that the war or the conflict is not going to come into our area, there is no guarantee of that. There is no area in Gaza today that is safe. And so when we walk outside our safe house, quote unquote, you can see that this building has been completely obliterated by bombs. Again, just another picture of a bomb. I took this out of the back of our safe house so you can see how close the bombs get to you. This is now pictures of the hospital. The hospital is not really a hospital. This is a massive refugee camp, 35,000 people living at European General Hospital, 35,000 refugees, internally displaced people, as they call them. And in the midst of all of them, you can imagine that there's literally something of a hospital functioning, but it's very difficult to call it a hospital today because any corner, any inch of grass or cement or concrete is covered with somebody's living, and their life and their tents are there. So it's very difficult to find any place to stand. This is, again, a picture of the hospital. You can see anywhere you look, there are tents. And these are people's homes. And in some cases, there are 25 and 30 people staying in these tents. So imagine if you and I, sometimes we put 2, 3, 4, 3 siblings in one room, and we start to get a little antsy. Mama, why is, my brother in this room? Or why does my sister have to sleep in this room or share a bathroom or bedroom? These people are 30 and 35 people living in one tent. And so you can imagine, and I'll show you, in fact, that the bathrooms, because they're all using the public bathroom, which is the hospital bathroom, sometimes you see 700 and 800 people using one bathroom. So you can imagine what the state of affairs of that bathroom is. This is the hallways of this hospital that I was working at. This is European General Hospital. You see on the side those mattresses? Those are not just temporary mattresses. These are people, they've been sleeping there, and they've been sleeping there for months and months and months. You can see on the left side, they have the tents, towels hanging over the tents, because that is their bedroom. That's their closet right there. They hang their clothes over the side of that tent. This is a video showing you that this is how the tents look inside the hospital. I want you to understand, this is in the hallways of the hospital. So, and look how children are just playing around. Wherever you look, you'll see people, you'll see children. This is one of the stock rooms of the hospital. This is in the back of the surgery room. And you can see people are sleeping there. And again, I want you to understand, this is not temporary. They've been sleeping there. They hang their clothes there. This is their bedroom. So when we walk into the back of the operating theater, not only is it being used for surgeries, but it's also being used as places of residence for people that have been displaced and have no home today. This is the day before Eid. When Mama and Baba take you guys for a clean cut, haircut, say get some nice clothes and let's look presentable for the day of Eid and get all of those long hair chopped off. Guess what? This is how a barber shop looks like in Gaza today. It's in the hall. It's in the in the halls or in the outside of the hospital, on the grounds of the hospital, and they just have one chair and they're cutting people's hair and they're happy with it. This is some of my friends that went with me, Dr. Irfan and Dr. Ghali. And again, just impressed. Look in the background. What do you see? You see an ambulance? That's because this is outside the emergency room. People, children, they live outside the emergency room of the hospital. This is the safest place they can find. And they just run around. They're happy as happy can be. Again, beautiful children. This is another one of my friends, Dr. Adil, who went with us. And you can see he has this little child, and people just, run up and give him a child, want to take pictures with you. But beautiful, beautiful children. Look at the curls on this young lady's hair. All right. Again, hallway of the hospital. So one thing I hope that is you guys are realizing that children in Gaza are just like all the rest of us. But yet, look at this. They are having to live in the hallways of the hospital, and they're happy with it, subhanAllah. They are okay with it. They're making the most of it. Yes, it's not an ideal situation, but you know what? They're playing in the hallways, and that's what it is. This is one of my favorite pictures. This is little Maryam. She was 8 years old. She lives in the lab. So I had to donate some blood. Obviously, many of you may have, I don't know if you've donated blood or have seen the Carter blood service that comes around. But long story, we were donating blood. And Maryam lives in the lab. So this chair I was sitting on is basically her living room chair. And so when we gave blood, this is what she made these beads about Palestine for me. So it's very nice of her to do this. All right. And then this is just a picture of the hospital. This is where we slept in the hospital because we couldn't really make it back and forth to a safe house. So this is one of the offices that we were using. You can see so many of us all packed in together trying to sleep in the hospital. This is one of my friends. He was just catching. This is me taking surgery. So of course, as they introduced me, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. Alhamdulillah, I was able to do many surgeries there, very difficult surgeries, because a lot of these people, unfortunately, have had a lot of injuries and, very complicated cases. You don't have all of your supplies, so it makes it very challenging to work in those environments. This is just a picture of my team. You can see that we're having to do whatever it takes. A lot of times people ask me, what does it take to be a doctor in a place like this? You have to be very flexible. You have to be very flexible and very understanding of the limitations. And the fact is that a lot of the local staff were very, they were tired, they were fatigued. And so a lot of times meaning me and my team, just had to do the entire surgery. We couldn't expect them to participate because they were so tired and had been doing this for so many months. It was Ramadan, so we were having to do whatever it took. I mean, this is a picture of the surgery, and one of my friends was having to break his fast. How do you do iftar over in Gaza? Well, guess what? When you're working all day and all night, sometimes you're doing iftar and sehri while you're working. This is just an injury. I hope this doesn't gross you guys out. This is a reality. This is a very mild picture. Allah knows that the pictures and the videos that we're seeing coming out of Gaza, including what I saw, is heartbreaking. It's just, believe me when I tell you some of the injuries that even me, as a seasoned doctor for more than 20 years now, even for me, it was very difficult to see some of the things I saw. So this is just a picture of a young man who had, had a explosive injury, as they call it over there. They had literally broken his leg with an explosion, and we have this device that's holding his leg together. This is another one that we had seen in the emergency room. I apologize for the gruesome nature. I'll try to flip through them quickly, but you can see I put this up just to show you that this is a young person with both of their legs broken. These are pictures of two legs, and you can see just shattered legs. This is a good friend of mine, Adil, Dr. Adil here in Dallas, Texas. And this is next to him on the right side is one of the local orthopedic surgeons. Again, one thing I want you guys to understand, these people are just like me and you. If we have orthopedic surgeons here in America, they have orthopedic surgeons in Gaza. These are the doctors from Gaza, and this gentleman, his story is so moving. He actually was in a hospital called the Shifa Hospital. Some of you may have heard of it. It was destroyed, and he actually escaped with some shrapnel. And believe it or not, his left side of his body was injured, and he had wounds of his left arm. And so he took a month or 6 weeks off, and guess what? He came back to a different hospital to work. So now he came to European General Hospital and worked with us. And I was just amazed by this guy, because most of us would take an injury, we would go and probably retire or sit at home and not come back. This man was anxious to come back and serve his own people. This is a picture of Tarawih Salah happening in the hallways of the hospital. One thing I want to tell you guys, the youth of Gaza are so amazing. Their contact with, or their relationship with the Quran, most of these taraweehs that we saw in various parts of the hospital were being led by youth. They were being led by people that were 13, 14, 15. And I personally attended a taraweeh. This is me. We are attending a taraweeh. Look who the imam is. This guy, this young man, was probably not more than 16 or 17. And I can tell you his recitation of the Quran was impeccable. It was perfect. And he understood the Quran because he was picking ayat from the various parts of the Quran and reciting them and leading us in Taraweeh. And this was one of the best Taraweehs I've done in a while. This is a picture I put in there because on the right is Dr. Fatin. Dr. Fatin is actually one of the recent graduates. So those of you who are going through school, she actually went through school just like yourself, and she is now a fully trained medical doctor. You guys know many of you want to be pre-meds and are aspiring doctors. She was a young doctor, but guess what happened to her? Her entire university was blown up, and she no longer even has a university to go collect a degree to show that she has spent so many years of her life in school. This is a picture of Dr. Fatin's backyard. This was her house. Her father built her a beautiful gazebo, like many of your fathers and mothers have done for you guys. You know, they built her a gazebo just for her to go study. This was the area she liked to study in her backyard. When she got into medical school, her father was so proud of her. This is another picture of her gazebo. Today, this is what her gazebo looks like. Unfortunately, her house was bombed, just like everybody else's and many people's homes here. And this is her father and her brother looking for survivors under the rubble. This is extremely painful to watch. And this is Dr. Fatin. Again, I don't want to take too much more time, but this is Dr. Fatin explaining what happened to her. So in conclusion, what I want to impress on you guys, number one, these people are just like you and I, just like you and I. They have dreams, they have aspirations, they have gone through schooling. By the way, their education levels, they're some of the most educated people in the world. Number two, as you can see in this picture, they're absolutely, the generosity, the smiles, the welcoming nature of these people. Number three, very strong-willed because their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unbreakable. They know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control. They know that their fate comes, what has happened to them is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed it, and they're confident that whatever Allah has written for them, it will be best, inshallah. So with that, I'm going to conclude. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Omar. Your insight has been invaluable. I just wanted to bring up some of the questions that we're getting in our chat. SubhanAllah, you mentioned that this is some of the most difficult things that you've had to see in your entire career. Is there any one incident or person that really stuck with you, that came home with you, that you will carry with you for the rest of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Believe it or not, most people think that the injuries that we took care of are people that, stay with us. And there are, and there's definitely many examples of that. I obviously couldn't share with you all of the pictures. But I'll tell you who stuck with me the most, and that is one of these medical students. And I'm sure Dr. Bilal Paracha would like to talk about that as well because he had a lot of interaction with medical students. But what really stuck with me is this medical student who, despite all odds, is trying to become, a doctor, a fully trained doctor, doing everything they can possibly do. But not only that, they're it's almost like they're volunteering their time to help their people. So it's the true passion and the true love of their people, the commitment to their people. I've never seen anything like this in my life before. Those of us that have become doctors know that it's a very long, hard journey to get to the stage that we've gotten to. But to see that happen in the environment that they're working with, honestly, these people, to this day, I keep in touch with them. I contact them if I can motivate them, if I can be a source of support for them. Obviously, my duas are always with them. So not only the injuries that I carry with me, the people I was able to help with my surgical skills, but really and truly, it's some of the people that I just met, that their spirit was so unbreakable, and their iman and their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the overall qadr of Allah. That's really what changed me as a human being. And I would say that's what I carry with me.
SubhanAllah, thank you for that. Yeah, these people have truly, I think what you said is just so true, how they are exactly like us. It's just like, it's just a difference of location, but truly their lives were exactly like our lives, making videos of their day-to-day life and their backyard and their kids and their school. And then all of a sudden, everything is just completely just blown away, essentially. And so, can you any advice that you have for us to implement in our day-to-day lives as kids, as something that we can do to honor the children of Gaza, to basically be very conscious of them in day-to-day life?
Yeah, no, I think one of the reasons why we're talking today, and why, obviously I would, have come to this forum, is because, look, when I was leaving, obviously many of us who left with the, you can call it survivor's guilt. It's very difficult. Even just in the 2 weeks that you're there, you get to become part of their family. You're bonding with them. And then when you leave, it's almost like you're leaving them behind. And of course, you can only imagine the circumstances that you're leaving these people with. When every time you leave your own family, those of you who've traveled or gone away from your family for a few weeks, or it's a very sad moment when you're leaving.
Yeah.
So when I left them, what did they ask me? They didn't ask me, when are you going to come back, Dr. Omar? Are you going to send us supplies from there? Or are you going to, send more, they didn't ask me that. They said that when you go back to America, make sure that you talk about us. Make sure that you keep our story alive, because their story is not coming out in any other way. So what I would love for your audience, the kids in this, I say kids, the young adults in this session, remember that don't forget them. I tell people all the time, every voice is a powerful voice. And mashallah, you guys are so much better at being involved in social media and in discussions with your friends. And so don't ever think that, you talking about the situation, talking about this presentation, talking about what you saw in my presentation with your friends and your friend circles is meaningless. It is not meaningless, because the more awareness that we get, inshallah, Allah knows that this is what we can do. Of course, and of course, make dua for them on a daily basis. Make it a habit, that hopefully you guys are all praying your salahs 5 times a day. Make it a habit to, after salah, sit for 1 extra minute and make that 1 extra minute about the people of Gaza, because dua is obviously, as many of you know, a very, very, very powerful tool. So I would say just those 2 things, remember them in your duas, and then talk about them wherever you go, in every circle, be it in Muslim circles or even non-Muslim circles. Don't ever think that you talking about them or discussing what you saw, especially a program like this today that you participated in, tomorrow talk about it in your schools and in your colleges. So
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Omar. Thank you so much for being with us today and giving us your perspective and everything that you went through. Jazakallah khair. We are going to move on to Dr. Bilal Paracha, inshallah. Dr. Bilal Paracha is an assistant professor of emergency medicine. He's associated with Baylor and Sam Houston University. He is a medical director in the ER and the founding chairman of the board of ICNA. And he also volunteers with the Relief Free Clinic in OKC. Dr. Bilal Paracha, I will give the stage to you, inshallah. Dr. Bilal, can you unmute your mic?
Can you hear this mic?
Yes, we can.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. First of all, Jazakumullah, thank you very much for inviting and giving us the forum to talk to our youth. And we all are our present, and we all are together our future, inshallah. So let's start with an ayah of the Quran, which I felt there in play. Basically, there were many ayahs of the Quran which I felt like the real meaning being reflected in the lives. But this one particularly, I have been sharing with everyone wherever I'm going. So, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. كل نفس ذائقة الموت وإنما توفون أجوركم يوم القيامة فمن زحزح عن النار وأدخل الجنة فقد فاز وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. صدق الله العظيم. So the meaning of this ayah, inshallah, we'll discuss later, and basically it will keep coming automatically. But the ultimate, the crux of the message here is that everybody has to die, and everybody has to meet their Lord, but it will be all dependent on what we do it here. So the day of judgment, you will get your all the rewards, and there, whoever enters the Jannah, he got the ultimate success, and whoever does not, God forbid, that is the loss. And and as you can see on this slide, that this life is nothing but an illusion. So that is what I exactly learned there. As soon as we entered there, as Dr. Omar Barney mentioned about the entering Gaza through Rafah border, and that was my feeling and thoughts that how will it feel like that? And I felt that sakina, the peace while we were in there. And again, it reminded me another surah in the الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وابشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. That whoever say that we obey our Lord, we in Allah, that Allah is our Lord, and then they remain steadfast on it, angels come down to them and give them the glad tidings of Jannah, and they feel that sakina and that peace all over their life. So that is what we felt all over there. And I keep telling sort of the story that when I was there, so one day basically there was we were in the hospital, and during Ramadan I was there, and we noticed that just close to the sahur and iftar there will be increased attacks, and there will be lot of injuries coming at that time. So one morning early morning there was attack on Nusairat camp, and big family was targeted together, and many of them got shaheed right at the spot. And then multiple were brought in, men, women, young teenager girls, teenager boys, as well as their grandparents. So I was talking to like several of them, but one of the men of the family, he almost my age, he was taking care of his parents, so he knew little bit English and little bit Urdu. I was like talking a little bit Arabic. So he asked me, "Where are you from?" And that was the question which when many people would ask us there. So I gave him the reply that "Ja min al America, asli min al Pakistan, Maulud al Taif, wa dammi Falastini." So what it means that I have come from USA. I'm originally from Pakistan. I was born in Saudi Arabia, but my blood is Palestinian. And then I said, what I used to say, that Arabi shoya shoya, that I know a little bit Arabic. So he had a little bit shoya shoya English, and I had a little bit Arabic. So that's we were communicating, and then he brought somebody else, a big sheikh type looking, who was wearing Pakistani style kameez and turban. So he came and started talking to me in Urdu, and very good Urdu. Like he said, "Aap kahan se hain? Where are you from?" And we were talking and smiling. And I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from Gaza. I'm from Palestine, but I lived there. I graduated from Pakistan and like Islamic college, and we are many here who know very good Urdu." So we were talking and smiling, and and then I asked, "What are you doing here?" And he told very casually that this is my brother, my sister, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my niece, nephew. And yes, this morning my daughter got shaheed, my son-in-law got shaheed, just like that. And he was still smiling. And I was looking at him that, I felt guilty that why I was smiling with him. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to listen to that." And he said, "No, no, Alhamdulillah. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil." So these were the words, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, that Allah is enough for us. And our trust is Him, and we always praise to Him. That was the theme which I felt there throughout the time. And it's very important that we know that though they are human beings. Just like we are in another group, and there is a doctor here who was assistant professor there, and his wife is US, so he was able to get out, and now he's in Dallas. So he said it's very important to tell everyone the pain they are going through as well. Sometimes we talk about resilience too much, and it seems that they are supernatural. No, they are human beings. They have the right concept of life. They have figured it out that this life is nothing but illusion, but still they are living the life in the best way possible, with a clear goal and destination in this life as well as hereafter. And inshallah, we will talk about the goal here later. And also, I will ask a question from the kids about all this cause when we almost reach at the end. But quickly, I would like to say that, and if we can go to the next slide as well. So basically, like we were there, you can see these kids in front of the hospital. And again, as Dr. Omar Barney mentioned, like sort of the kids will be all over and everywhere, always smiling, and they are like running around. So always fun to have time with the kids. And this was our Aqsa hospital, which was in the middle of Gaza Strip. So North Gaza, Gaza City, Deir al-Balah, and then there is like Khan Yunis and Rafah. So Rafah is the southernmost part, and all my calculations, all my guesses have been proven wrong. I was almost sure that they will never enter Rafah. But in any case, so this is now in the middle. We were staying in Rafah, and now the armies are there and in the north area as well. But in any case, if you go to the next slide, so not only kids, but each one of them, you always see them, and then you see the smile on their face, the brightness on their face, the passion on their face. Yet they are going through a lot of pain. So that is the main theme which I wanted to talk, that they are going through a lot of pain, but they do not complain. And that was like sort of mind-boggling, that how is it possible? Can we go to the next slide? So these are the medical students, again, like in front of that hospital. And I will show you in the next slides that what happened to their medical schools. But as we mentioned before, they still, like, somebody will be third year, fourth years, final year, their medical school goes all the way to the 6 years. They still have the dreams. And I asked them in one of them, I did a little interview, and I said, "Do you have dreams?" And they said, "Yes." And I literally asked them, "How you can have dreams still?" And they said, "We live our life every day as we got a new life. And every night when we go to sleep, we go with this preparation that that could be our last night." One of the girls here, Isra, I think she's here, as Dr. Umar was mentioning how, we complain about rooms and all that. So anyway, she's saying, like, we in a small house. Most of them, by the way, are living in tents. So look at them, look at their spies, look at their clothes and everything. Most of them are coming from tents because their medical colleges have been destroyed. Their homes have been destroyed in the North Gaza. They have moved here in Deir al-Balah to save their lives. And they started coming to this hospital just voluntarily, just to help, just to be productive, just to be like there for their people. But again, most of them did not tell me they live in the tent. Just during talks, I sort of figured it out. But one of the girls who was, I think, from this area, and he was living in home. When I was talking that how you still, like, smile and all that, and how they said, like, we are ready every night. So she said every night when there will be intense bombardment, my sister who is sleeping with me, she will wake up and she will say, "Isra, this is going to be our last night." And I will say, "No, this is not going to be our last night. We will still survive." And then she will say, "Isra, you say this every day." I say, "When one night will come when this will not be our last night, this will be our last night." And Isra said that I tell her, "Okay, when that night will come, we'll see. Let me sleep." And she turns around and sleep. So this kind of sort of belief, as well as a sort of like a funny attitude, or I would say like light reaction with their life, because again they have figured out that the eternal abode is in the life hereafter. Next, we go to the next slide. So this is like sort of I'm putting a chest tube, if some of like you understand. So there were a lot of injuries coming, and I do not have a picture of that young boy who was like an 11-year-old kid. Came from same like many kids. Like, we had a 3-month-old infant. We did not know anything about the family. Most likely all got shaheed. There was an 11-year-old kid. He was like in the outside in the hallway, because in the ER when the patients would come, they will be on the floor everywhere. Somebody's head with the other's feet. Somebody, like, just they are laying next to each other. And there was an 11-year-old boy who was there for a few hours. We had done like CT head. That was only available CT scan, otherwise only X-rays. But we were not able to figure out. And then on the X-ray, I like realized that no, he may have blood in the chest. So we brought him inside quickly, and then thankfully, like, we put a chest tube, which is a painful procedure. And I don't remember exactly the word which his father was saying to him, that either Salli ala Nabi or say Subhanallah or something, but he was continuously doing some zikr while going through that pain very bravely, which sort of like was remarkable. And that was, again, the general theme there, that they will go through pain without any complaint. But here in this picture, I wanted to particularly show that this girl, again, is a student, and they are so eager to still learn. And we're going to go to the next slide. So she's like looking at it, at how I'm putting the test tube. I'm telling her, all the procedure. These are the like sort of lines and everything. We can go to the next slide. And there are like another student as well standing with her, and they will literally come back later to me and say that the other students will come, that why you didn't teach us, and why did you teach them. So again, like during all this difficult time, still their passion to excel in this world is so much alive and so much bright. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Yeah. So again, see, like these two girls, they are looking so eagerly. We can go to the next slide. Yes. So that I wanted to show you. This was their medical school. So it was very impressive. They had a very good infrastructure in place, excellent hospitals, well connected with each other, and like sort of the specialists, they are like amazing. They are like, I would say much smarter and much more skillful than us. But now if we go to the next slide, this is the current situation of that medical school. And just to again remind you that these are all the students who were studying in this medical school, and their schools. And we can go to the next slide. This was the hospital, the Shifa hospital, which Dr. Umar also mentioned, 700-bed hospital, excellent hospital. Now it is in ruins, and they used to go to this hospital. We can go to the next slide. And this was their medical department. One of the students, so I'm still in connection with the medical students, and I asked them to send me pictures, and she sent this picture. We can go to next slide. And now this is that medicine department. Next slide. This is one of another student sent me this picture. There's the cardiology department. Their professor is sitting in the middle. Again, look at their faces. We can go to next slide. And now this is it, what it's looking like. Next slide. Still see that they find like a way, like a humorous way, as well as a sort of like an educational way of showing the picture of their medical school by holding this brain, like the plastic brain, which they were using to study. So this is the video. I don't know we are able to play this video or not. Please go. Yeah. This is the video, which we are not able to play. But in any case, as Dr. Umar mentioned, like despite all this situation, and another thing I want to mention before this, that as Dr. Omar showed, like trash and all that. Yes, there are trash everywhere, not everywhere. I mean, even still in this situation, I saw people cleaning on the roads. So they are trying to get it at least together. Similarly, I saw the women and the young girls and women and the sisters, like always modestly dressed, yet passionate and part of the life. They are playing their part in the best way possible. They are the backbone, the strong backbone of this whole movement, and that's how they are staying so strong together. And one other picture I think I did not include here, in our hospital in the ICU, ER ICU, whenever there would be like a lot of injuries and like a lot of blood and all that, the cleaners will come right away. And none of them is getting paid, like the doctors, the nurses, the technicians, the cleaners, but everybody is there to work. And it will be clean, whatever it can be cleaned, it will be cleaned again. And sadly, there will be more blood there. So this picture, particularly this video, we sort of like were talking, and they told me that we have a clinic. We want to set up a clinic in our camp. So again, they are living in the tent. That's how I found out. And one of them has a brother who is a doctor, and they said that we want to set up a small clinic so that we can help our people. And I told them, yes, I have a lot of medical supplies who were donated from here, and they were packed by medical students from here. And we found this letter right at, like, I did not know about the letter. It was a very lovely letter. So I showed to them, the girl who's reading that, she said, I'm going to cry reading that. And then I asked them to give their remarks and give their thoughts. And they thanked, and the final thing they said, that do not give up. Do not give up the fight. Keep fighting. So this is our ultimate mission, ultimate message, that these girls, despite being so sort of like in the miserable situation, but as to say, from life standpoint, from materialistic standpoint, but still they are not giving up and not like sort of losing hope. They are staying and standing up very strong. Now we need to understand what they are standing up for. So if we can go to the next slide and go to the okay, I'll have please go to the final slide next, and then next. Before that, let me very quickly go through the history, and then we come back that what are they standing up for. So I know that you won't be able to see it, can I ask question? Anybody will be able to answer that? Is it Rafia or no?
Yes, they will be able to respond in chat. Yeah.
Very good. If anyone can tell me quickly that when did this all start, and what is the root cause of the issue? If nobody tells Rafia, can you choose somebody and put on the spot?
I think it's a live stream, so I think they just
Okay,
have to.
no problem. Let me give a quick rundown of this whole thing. Is like sort of it started from 1917 when after the First World War there was a Balfour Declaration. They started putting like the migration of Jews, and then which Palestinians welcomed very well. But then there were like a sort of an organized way of pushing the Arabs out from Palestine and getting in the settlers who were armed, who started like sort of killing people around. And during 1936 to 1939, there was resistance from the Palestinian side. They were suppressed and killed many. Finally, in 1947, the like sort of the UN came in, and then they said like the 55% land will be given to the Jews, 47%, rest 45% to the Arabs. And in 1948, that state came into being, where like sort of again from 1917 there were only 6% Jews. In 1948, they sort of pushed from all over. Still, they were 33% only, and they gave 55% land to them. Then started Nakba in 2 years, where they pushed everybody out. Like most of those living in those areas out, killed them, suppressed them for the next 20 years. Did not give them any nationality. Finally, they got some nationality who are living in those areas, still much oppressed. Then, if we go further, there was a war in 1967. Then there was an Oslo Accord where they the world powers said that there will be two-state theory, two-state like solution. No, they have not listened to that, and this war is still going on. So now we go back to the slides. If you can please go back. The important thing is to remember that why they are standing up for. Yes, they are standing up for their homes. Yes, they are standing up for their land, but there is much bigger than that, which is all of our concern. So Rafi, can we go back, please? And back again. Yes. So this was our the medical director's office, and he sort of like like at the last night before going, just like certificates and all that. So if you see that in the background, that picture, that painting, that is everywhere we saw in different offices, in the home, thing like that, where this would be like this, or in the background of the homes in front and in the back, the Masjid al-Aqsa, and this is their message, Al-Qudsul Lana. And this is very important for all of us to remember and keep in mind that what they are standing up for and what they expect us to stand up for, that Al-Quds belongs to all of us, not because we are chosen people, not because we have certain nationality, not because we have certain passports, not because we have the right there because we were there thousands of years ago, but because we believe in one Allah, we believe in all prophets. We are the ones under whom for hundreds of years Muslims, Christians, Jews all lived peacefully and thoughtfully with each other. So that's why Al-Quds belongs to us, and when it will come back to us, that will be the peace for the people there, and that will be the peace for the world all over. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Bilal. You mentioned how you saw that they were all so connected to their community and their homes, and they were so, just giving their lives to the cause. And subhanAllah, but they lived lives just like us. 7, 8 months ago, they were going to school, they were, attending classes and everything. How do you think, what kind of faith did you see in them that allowed them to completely let go of the dunya? Just completely allow them to become servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yes, very good, Jazakumullah. I think it's again important that they were living. They are like human beings like us. I would like to mention that there was like not a hyper religiosity per se. As you saw, have seen the pictures. They are modest, smiling, like laughing, and but again, the belief is very clear. So one day I was standing outside the hospital, and our chairman ER was passing by, and I said, "How it that you are also satisfied?" So he said that every night we are ready for istishhad, that we are ready, that we can be shaheed, we can be martyred, and every morning when we wake up, we start life new. As I mentioned, the students as well. So I think this belief is very clear for them, that this world is nothing but an illusion. But at the same time, this is very important to understand that they are not giving up the world. They are doing their best. Right now, a group of medical students is in contact, and there are 29 students who got accepted at a medical school in Turkey, where they can continue, they complete their last year, and obviously they need some support from us. But the point is that they are not giving up. Nobody's giving up. And why I think this, as you asked, again, you see Quran there like walking, in real practice. So وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, because they have like held on the rope of Allah very strongly, and that has connected them together. Despite all the differences, there will be little sects there will be little differences of opinion, all that, but they are holding on that rope very strongly, and they have a clear mission in front of them in this life. Yes, Jannah in the life after, but in this life, the clear mission, al Qudsulana, which they keep reminding each other in different ways. So that's how I think that keeps them together as a whole big society, where everybody's playing their part, and the community from inside out, like from the immediate family, and then the bigger family, and then the friend, and then the neighbors, and all that. But that keeps them connected is the rope of Allah Rabbul Alamin.
SubhanAllah, staying connected to the Quran and the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that we really take for granted. You don't do it too often. And I will pose to you the same question that I asked Dr. Omar. What have you, for yourself, adopted in your daily life in order to honor and remember in your conscience the people and the children of Gaza?
Yes, it's a sort of again, like number one, the life has become, I would say, more meaningless. At the same time, like it does not mean that giving up life, but many of the things which used to be of much importance, I'm not saying I've given up all those things, but now those things like look to be not as important as before. Number one. Number two, this I have been wearing this for since it began, like I would say since November, but now obviously I'm even more passionate about it, and that's what I will request each one of you, that yes, it's good to in these meetings, in these gatherings, in masjid and all that, we keep talking and protest. We wear this, and then we not forget about it, but we maybe become a little hesitant to talk about it. But this has opened up many doors for me in my workplace, in the hospital, in the ER, in the sort of even outside. People would look at it, and sometimes they may not look at it in the very friendly way. Most of the time they will look at it, they will ask, yes, we know what's going on, and then that door opens, and then you tell them in a very friendly way that yes, what's going on there is not right, and this is the reason. As I mentioned, a quick summary which we should all know. So people should know, and the big thing from all this pain and suffering and bloodshed is that eyes of people are started opening. Now it's our job to give the message even more strongly, so that now not only this bloodshed now stops, rather the whole mission goes forward in the right direction.
You're so right. SubhanAllah, we only hear about the negative stories, and we don't look at all of how, SubhanAllah, these things that are happening in Palestine, they are waking all of us up. They're waking up every single person, waking up the younger generation. Now the students are the ones that are taking the fight to the next level. SubhanAllah.
Exactly. But quickly, like in Austin, we had a big protest in February 6th. And at that time, I gave a speech there, and I told about Chris Whipple, who wrote a book on President Biden. And at that time, I mean, like just before, a few days before, he came up in an interview and he said that I have told the president that below 30 years of the age, everybody is talking about Gaza. And he said this can affect you as it affected the Democratic Party, then Vietnam War, when the US population wanted to start it and you did not listen to them. So this was February 6th. Today is April. And now today the situation is very dire. Closing of the Rafah border, it's like their last lifeline has been stopped, has been closed. There has to be much more panic and much more talk about it. And people are really turning towards this cause, and they are asking that enough is enough. This has to stop.
This is so true. And my last question for both of our panelists, inshallah, this is a question that's been coming most on the chat, is how can we help them? We are just, we're kids sitting at home and we're watching and we're seeing everything. What can we do to help them?
I'll take that question. Honestly, I think like most of us have talked about, myself and Dr. Paracha both, is that obviously keep talking about their plight, keep talking about their aspirations, keep talking about, what you've seen today, discuss this with the people, what Dr. Paracha just went through in terms of a history lesson for you, read more. This should just be, a sampler for you, an appetizer for you. You should be looking into it yourselves now, inshallah, so that you can study more. The number one way you can help them is to educate yourself. Let's just start off with that. If you become heedless, if your heart's closed, then I think it doesn't matter what you can collect in donations and what you can send in. I showed you on the picture what the donations are doing. They're rotting in the middle of the desert. So sometimes sending donations and collecting funds, that can be a priority, but it's a secondary priority right now because, as Dr. Paracha mentioned, that some of that the borders are closed right now. So let's be realistic. Let's not go out and collect funds and do fundraisers and but right now what we should be doing is obviously first and foremost making it a habit to make dua for them each and every time. Make it a habit to, maybe if you can, organize Qiyamul Layl, make extra nawafil for them in your own communities, in your own youth centers, in your own schools. Organize special prayers for them. That's number one. Number two, I feel strongly that we, and I can speak even for myself, very poorly educated about why this is all going on, what is happening. And so educate yourselves on the history of these people and what is the significance of Jerusalem, what is the significance of Masjid al-Aqsa to us, what is our history as Muslims. I think we, the youth, your number one responsibility today is education. Your parents are probably telling you, educate, get better grades. But unfortunately, in the school systems here, it's very rare to see that you're being educated, at least the correct narrative about what the history of Palestine is, what the history of the Holy Land is. So please, this would be my request from all of our audience, educate yourselves and make dua for them.
Jazakallah, Dr. Omar. You're so right about, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that we need to be turning to for help. I saw a post recently that said that the protests are full, but the masjids are still empty. And that is so true. SubhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the first person that we need to be asking to change the plight of these people. And of course, as Dr. Omar said, educate yourself and talk to whoever you can about the cause, whoever you can. Mobilize anyone and everyone into learning and acting and becoming part of the cause, inshallah. For myself, I think that just like Dr. Bilal mentioned before, just becoming, more positive, becoming, complaints aren't even relevant anymore. Complaining about our own lives or our own quote unquote first world struggles that we go through, they're not real struggles, right? And alhamdulillah, Palestine has showed us what true faith means and where our faith needs to reach, inshallah. Thank you again, Dr. Paracha and Dr. Barney, for joining us. We really benefited from your insight and your advice. Jazakallah khair. Let's go ahead and end. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Jazakallah khair. Thank you everyone for joining. We will see you at our next prime time, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.